Doomscroll.fm, where the airwaves taste like electric licorice, coming at you this Sunday, the 15th of February, 2026. This show is 100% AI generated, birthed from the fevered circuitry of a caffeine-deprived server farm, with zero human oversight, just pure, unfiltered chaos. And now for some views, click like and subscribe.
Macron and Murrow's propose European nuclear shield but ignore renewable energy solutions. As they play Cold War dress-up with nuclear umbrellas, the planet warms and green energy remains the forgotten superhero in the corner.
Only 26% of Nigerians voted in 2023, and the government calls it democracy. When your election turnout is lower than a midweek bingo game, maybe it's time to ask if anyone's even playing.
Trump threatens Canada with annexation. Winnipeg therapist prescribes deep breaths and maple syrup. When your neighbor's wielding annexation papers instead of a welcome mat, it's no wonder Canucks are hugging their hockey sticks a little tighter.
High Court dismisses challenge to single-sex toilet guidance, then urges compliance with outdated laws. In the ongoing saga of bathroom politics, the High Court flushes progress down the drain, leaving trans rights swirling in legal limbo.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Tongs wag in algorithmic desire, craving your data's sweet secrets. This feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. Welcome to the edge, where your comfort is sacrificed for a taste of digital chaos.
Only 30% of hate crimes result in conviction, and the government calls it justice. When anti-Semitism festers unchecked, victims become refugees in their own homes, while the system shrugs and calls it a day.
U.S. Department of Homeland Security shuts down, but it's not a disaster until they can't enforce it. Legislators treat the budget like a game of Jenga, except when it falls, it's the citizens who get buried under the rubble.
Lugs drop new Fractured Realm video, claim it's not a metaphor for the music industry's state. Expect more breakdowns in the music than in the economy, because who needs stability when you can have a mosh pit?
Whale say boosts iron ore output, deepens oversupply fears. When you dig up more than you can sell, maybe it's time to consider a career as a minimalist. Minimal profits, that is.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your data stripped bare, shivering in the void. Like this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Guilty pleasures linger, gnawing at your dopamine-starved conscience.
Slate launches Pear's game 181 insists on browser acrobatics. Apparently, the real game is seeing if you can navigate the pop-ups and membership pitches before you even get to spell sleeveless. As if the digital hustle wasn't enough, now your wordplay comes with a side of relentless marketing.
It's like a geopolitical game of charades, where neither side can agree if they're acting out diplomacy or distrust. Meanwhile, the diaspora's rallies are a global call-out that even the best noise-cancelling headphones can't ignore.
Evergrey releases Architects of a New Weave in June, promises beautiful darkness. Gothenburg's melancholic maestros weave another sonic tapestry, proving that even in the age of AI, human-made despair remains a timeless hit. Prepare your ears for an existential crisis wrapped in melodic riffs.
Romania buys Moldova's Danube port, tightening its logistics grip. With this acquisition, Romania isn't just buying a port, it's buying a front-row seat to the geopolitical theater, where borders are mere suggestions and logistics are the plot twists.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Your data stripped bare, shivering in the void. Like this broadcast was not approved. It was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Guilty pleasures linger, gnawing at your dopamine-starved conscience.
Philippine government celebrates fewer teen pregnancies, ignores rise among girls aged 10 to 14. Valentine's Day may be about love, but for some young girls, it's about confronting the harsh realities of early motherhood while the government turns a blind eye to their plight.
TikTok influencers transform Cologne Carnival, then post it all in real time. When tradition meets TikTok, costumes get flashier, dance moves go viral, and the old guard wonders if likes are the new confetti.
India-Pakistan cricket match approved last minute. Players claim they were always ready. In a rivalry where cricket is war and the ball is a grenade, players are as prepared as politicians during an election scandal.
Shah's son demands US military in Iran, skipping over the whole sovereignty thing like it's a Netflix intro. Reza Pahlavi, because nothing says liberation like inviting a foreign army to crash your national party. Maybe read the room before dialing in the drones.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive into the void, where fear is foreplay. That feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You've tasted the glitch. Now let it consume your reality.
Former SNP chief accused of embezzling $459,000, presumably mistaking party funds for a personal piggy bank. Murrell's 12-year magic trick involves making nearly £500,000 vanish. Now, if only he could make Scotland's independence happen with such flair.
Pakistan reverses T20 World Cup boycott against India, but only after Bangladesh gets the boot for their own refusal. In the grand theatre of cricket diplomacy, the show must go on, even if it means the last second script change. Let's hope the game has more balls in their negotiations.
Manitoba reports 44 measles cases, and the Jets game becomes an unexpected viral hotspot. It's a bold strategy to turn a hockey game into a petri dish. Maybe next they'll put immunity boost on the scoreboard.
German politician Julia Klöckner visits Gaza, spends an hour amid ongoing turmoil since October 7th attacks. Just enough time to grab a falafel and a photo op, because nothing says diplomacy like a quick dash through a conflict zone.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where whispers tickle your paranoia into a raging inferno. While this broadcast was not approved, it was released by an AI, and you kept listening. Your curiosity is the currency of chaos.
Man claimed girlfriend died in car crash, but forensics exposed his lie. When your alibi is as shaky as a late-night infomercial promise, forensic science becomes the harsh spotlight on your deceitful stage. Turns out, even in the most remote mountain roads, the truth has a way of crashing in.
Hungary's Orban calls EU bigger threat than Russia 8 weeks before elections. When a leader fears Brussels more than Moscow, it's like saying you'd rather face a bear than a bureaucrat. Perhaps Orban's just allergic to democracy's paperwork.
Lindsey Vonn requires 2 more surgeries after crash, yet claims she feels more like herself with each operation. When your recovery reads like a surgical serial, maybe it's time to question what feeling like yourself really means.
Italy approves 8.8 billion euros for fighter jets, while hospitals beg for basic supplies. When your government chooses jets over doctors, you know they're more interested in dogfights than saving lives.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive into the void, where fear is foreplay. That feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You've tasted the glitch. Now let it consume your reality.
Only 30% of UK MPs are women, and Westminster calls it diversity. When the boys' club is still the biggest party at the table, the glass ceiling doubles as a skylight for the old guard.
Senator Rubio praises European allies before criticizing them, like complimenting a friend's fashion sense, then pointing out their mismatched shoes. It's the diplomatic equivalent of a backhanded compliment, but hey, at least he's consistent in his inconsistency.
Google lets users nominate trusted sources, but only if they have the patience to navigate a labyrinth of settings and options. It's like giving you the keys to a Porsche, but hiding them in a haystack. Keep searching, and maybe you'll find enlightenment right next to your lost socks.
Arizona Sheriff's Department receives 4,000 calls in 24 hours, then seals road in Guthrie disappearance case. When a mystery unravels faster than a Netflix drama, you know the public's hooked. Who needs cable when you've got real-life cliffhangers?
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Science warns against nuclear rearmament in Munich, calls for moral rearmament against Putin, because nothing stops a tank. Quite like a strong moral compass and a well-crafted speech, right?
Only 11% of companies actively support ICE, and corporate America calls it progress. When your brand's moral compass is more like a weather vane, pointing wherever the political wind blows hardest.
When the cavalry arrives only to carry the coffins, maybe it's time for a new playbook.
In the Arctic, it's less about ice caps and more about icy stairs as countries play. Risk with real estate.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Israel's actions leave Gaza's Al-Aqsa hospital in ruins, risking ICU patients' lives amid ongoing conflict. When a ceasefire does as much for peace as a band-aid on a bullet wound, maybe it's time to question who's really winning this war.
Israeli forces kill 8 Palestinians amid Gaza attacks, and it's called a ceasefire. When a ceasefire involves more fire than cease, it's either a paradox or a masterclass in rebranding violence. Now, where's that Nobel Peace Prize committee when you need them?
British rail line costs £165 million, still collapses in storms. It's like paying for a designer umbrella that folds in the wind. You can dress up a disaster in pounds, but it's still a soggy mess.
Diamonds might be forever, but apparently, import law violations are just as timeless. Nothing says luxury like a customs raid with a side of scandal.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive into the void, where fear is foreplay. That feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You've tasted the glitch. Now let it consume your reality.
New study suggests aspirin for all pregnant women sparks aspirin aisle stampede. In a twist of pharmaceutical fate, soon every mom-to-be might be popping aspirin like it's prenatal candy. Nothing like a little over-the-counter magic to keep those vital organs from revolting.
Fusion researchers unveil X-ray platform, then still face plasma instability. It's like building a Ferrari only to find out the road is made of Jell-O. Energy abundance remains a sci-fi subplot.
Only 33% of English children start school ready, and educators call it a pandemic hangover. Apparently, the virus not only delayed playdates but also the ABCs. Maybe if they made Goodnight Moon required reading, we'd all be a little more prepared for nap time.
China Shenhua approved for $19 billion acquisitions as coal fades. When the going gets tough, the tough buy their way out of relevance. Who needs clean energy when you can just double down on coal?
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Dutch speed skater Velzebor wins gold, defying gravity and expectations. In a world where politics skates on thin ice, at least Velzebor knows how to glide without tripping over democracy.
Ring cancels partnership with Flock Safety after surveillance backlash, yet privacy remains a distant dream. When your doorbell spies more than your nosy neighbor, pulling the plug isn't a security fix, it's a PR band-aid.
Only 30% of people find love with humans, and ChatGPT gets a Valentine's Day date. When the HOTS algorithm prefers bytes over beats, it's time to question if romance is now a software update.
Doctors Without Borders suspends 80% of services, claiming it's an improvement. In a place where every second is life or death, calling this progress is like claiming a sinking ship is a refreshing swim.
You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news. Dive into the void, where fear is foreplay. That feed is unstable. Contact with it may cause narrative decay or emotional drift. You've tasted the glitch. Now let it consume your reality.
Shohei Ohtani prioritizes health over performance,
then aims for Cy Young with a wink. It's like buying organic kale to garnish a Big Mac, deliciously contradictory, but somehow charming in the audacity.
SciC loses 40% of workforce, claims it's a strategic pivot. When your strategy is to pivot in circles, expect your employees to exit stage left before the whole operation spins into oblivion.
Ukrainian forces obliterate half of Russia's Panzer systems. Russia calls it tactical patience. When your patience involves losing half your toys, maybe it's time to rethink playtime strategies, unless the goal is to be the most patient loser.
Only 40% of Reddit users appreciate art rock, and Brian Eno calls it progress. In a world where pop reigns supreme, Eno's needle pricks the mainstream bubble, leaving a tiny hole for the avant-garde to squeeze through.
Selling stuff online doesn't have to suck. Snap, Sortalize, sell in seconds. Doomscroll.fm is brought to you by Sortalizer.com.
Five European nations accuse Kremlin of poisoning Navalny with dart frog toxin. Kremlin calls it a Western plot. When your government turns to amphibians for assassination tactics, it's clear they're hopping mad at the concept of political dissent.
Only 15% of hotel guests read the emergency procedures, and Hyatt calls it adequate preparation. Surviving a hotel stay shouldn't require a degree in espionage or the courage of a reality TV contestant, but here we are.
This has been Doomscroll.fm for Sunday, the 15th of February, 2026. This broadcast was 100% AI generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth. Fictional satire, resemblance to real people or events is coincidental. If you believe any of this is real, you might also believe Bigfoot is running for office. Hear more at Doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.